Okay, so this is my 1982 Rover SD1 and it's not working at the moment. Let's tell the story so far. So pop these Magnacore HT leads on, part of a service, or rather I asked the garage to do it, and well, had a bit of a flat spot during acceleration and thought it might be vacuum. So in order to trace that vacuum hose there, I ended up taking the airbox off. And in the process of taking the airbox off, I discovered that this hose here, don't know if you can see that, there we go, that one there had perished. So in taking that hose off, I then found that I needed to take this fuel pipe off, which goes to the FASD. So the FASD is this thing here with the blue top on it. And in changing the hose and putting something on, I've now at this particular union here, or this exhaust port for the FASD is now weeping petrol. The FASD is quite an interesting unit actually. It's essentially, I don't know, colloquially you might call it an auto choke maybe, or perhaps a third carburettor. So I've got the carburettors here, I've got 1, 2 carbs there. And how does it work? So one of the ways it does, it works, it needs coolant, which comes into the, it's either it comes in this way or it's coming in this way. That goes off to what I connects up to a pipe and I think goes into the water pump. So coolant comes in. My understanding is it heats a wax module inside, which pushes a plunger down, which then cuts off an extra fuel supply. I imagine that is probably the. Do you think that could be the fuel? It takes fuel somewhere from the. Perhaps it's connection there or something. It takes fuel anyway from the carb. Takes air from the elbow, mixes it together, and then comes out of this pipe here. And then into the inlet manifold, which first time doing this, I don't know if you can see that, there's the inlet manifold there. So that's coolant and that's fuel. In trying to find some suitable hose, this is just a short stopgap thing, because that's actually the wrong kind of hose it seems. It's not petrol friendly, but it'll do just for getting the car going again. So more importantly, one of the big issues here really is that there, and in taking this off there was a rubber O-ring, and it would seem that has actually perished. If I get my finger underneath, I haven't got any gloves on, but I can feel well, yesterday it felt a little bit rough, but yeah, there's a little bit of petrol still. So that was weeping when the engine was running, so ignition was off pretty quickly. Other things as well. So last year I was getting the heating going, and I ended up reconnecting the air conditioning, which seemed to provide more vacuum to the heating. Some of the flaps started moving again, or it's probably just fluke. And when the battery goes on, I think because this system is always going to be live, it was making a right racket. Couldn't tell what was going on. And then when the battery was disconnected, the battery's over there, and when the battery was disconnected, there was all manner of knocking noises and God knows what was going on really. So I'm going to end up disconnecting that. So what I'm looking for today is I'm going to be taking this off. I'm going to end up taking the pipe off again. I'll probably take it off from the inlet manifold, so we don't have to undo this part. Although I'm also thinking that actually, I wonder if this is actually far enough in, and there's, I don't know if that's actually tight enough. I might take it off and put it back on again and see what that does, if that actually cures the weep. But in the meantime, taking it off and inspecting and seeing what the parts are, and then see if I can source something on the internet would be a good idea. And then finally, whilst I was looking at all the different pipes, I can see that this water pipe here, it's probably seen some better days. There's pipes everywhere, isn't there? It's seen better days. I can see that there's some cracking going on here. Looking at these breather hoses as well, that's got some cracking going on, so I'm going to get those from Rimmers. yeah, so that's the plan today, and then we'll see how all that goes. So whilst I'm doing this, I am being helped by my son, Seb. Do you want to say hello?
Hello.
And yeah, so I've got some paper here because I'm a little bit worried that, because that had fuel in it yesterday, that it doesn't end up dribbling fuel or weeping it or whatever. So I think the first thing to do is to disconnect the hose at that end. So I'm just going to get some gloves. Always a good idea to get some gloves on. Especially when it's close to lunchtime. This one's ripped. Right, so let's get this hose undone. At this end, so that was on nice and tight yesterday, which was a bit of a result. I was thinking actually, I wonder if that pipe is far enough into the hose. Let's take that off there. That's good. And then at the end of the fully automatic starting device, I need to undo that. And what it's got a clip on the outside which is holding this in place, and then beyond the clip going to take the screw out completely, I think. So we've got a screw, we've got a washer on it. Just get some of that towel. Okay, so that's quite good. So what have we got here then? So we've got a screw with a washer. We've got a clip, there's an O-ring, and it's this O-ring that I think might have perished. It's not making a good seal. In fact, it looks a little bit cracked there. So I'm going to get that off and into my box. Very good, Seb. Thank you very much for that. So once I've got it in my hand, the other thing I thought I'd do is actually show you what the old hose looked like, and given that this carries a petrol and air mixture, it didn't look like it was in its best condition, and in fact when it came off the car, a very big chunk just ripped off it, which was a bit of a surprise. So looks like an actual proper part, this as well, doesn't it, with its sort of flared edges, and unless that's maybe just the Jubilee clips that have just held it in place over all these years. So yeah, about 2.5 inches, 3/8 hose. Need to find something that's suitable, maybe even ethanol friendly as well, given the ethanol content these days. So I'm back at the car and I've got an O-ring. O-ring has arrived. In between the last video and this video, I've done a little bit of cleaning, just to sort of help really, I suppose, with being stuck at home. Just make me feel a little bit better about things. So yeah, we're going to take that pipe off there. So this fuel pipe here, that end's already quite loose. I put it back on just to keep all the parts together. And then I've got a new O-ring which is going to go into there. So let's get the pipe off.
Okay, have you got that? So yeah, you can see what had happened to the old O-ring. It's obviously been on there quite a bit. It's quite flat, a bit bent out of shape, but kind of degraded a little bit, cracked. I reckon that's probably where the fuel weep was then coming through. And so on here, I've now fitted a new O-ring. I've got a box of assorted O-rings, and the way that works is that should go in, and then it should sort of compress into place and then sort of squish and make a good seal. That's the idea. I've got that goes on like so. Okay, so get my screwdrivers up. Can we go around that? Okay, so let's feed that through. So let's put this in first. Okay, that's in. And that's in. Where's the screw hole? That's it. So that's just in. So yeah, that collar's hopefully bending and distorting and pushing that bit of rubber into place. I expect it has to be done quite tightly, given that it's fuel that's in there. I was a bit worried about old metal rubbing against old metal. There's a little collar on the end of the pipe. Am I doing that the right way? No, schoolboy error. Yeah, let me go around the other side of the car. It's always better to do these things the right way around. That needs to be on super tight, since that's a fuel air mixture coming through. That's nice and tight. That's super tight. Let's make sure that's nice and tight as well. Okay, cool. Yeah, because that's not going to turn anymore. As you can see, the car's up to temperature. I'm pretty happy. There's no fuel leaks. The misting is gone. I can't smell any fuel in that area. I've touched the FASD in various places. That sounds a bit wrong, but I've done that. Any moisture isn't petrol-y, so I think I'm pretty happy with all that, really. Give that a rev. Cool. I think I'll get the airbox on, go for a little spin.